Welcome back to Cherry Pickin, the Owner's Box Fantasy Hockey Podcast. 4th episode now. So we're rolling on YouTube, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord, obviously. We're going to be talking some hockey in there. Gianni, we got to get you in the hockey Discord.
Oh, yeah. I'll get in there. Don't worry.
Why don't you introduce Gianni there, Jeremy?
Yeah, so Gianni is our goalie expert.
That's a good way to put it.
He used to play goalie. Would you mind explaining to everyone your hockey career?
Yeah, so I played defense up until when I was 12. Basically, I went nowhere with it, told my dad this isn't for me, and went in that instead. Very unpopular opinion for him, cost a lot of money.
Yes.
But
equipment is expensive.
yeah, I got a lot of hand-me-down the first year, though. Kind of good. Won a silver medal my first year in house league, and it was all downhill from that.
So you were a house league goalie?
Like at first, I got it to like single A.
Okay.
But it was like I played goalie for 4 years.
Okay.
Played a lot of beer league in my time.
Okay.
In your time, you're like 22. How have you played a lot of beer league?
I was unemployed for a couple summers, so I would go play noon shinny every day, and goalies were free, so did not make a dent.
Well, it's a good thing we employed you.
Yeah.
So it's good to have you on.
Let's talk about our sponsor, Jeremy.
Yes, Manscaped. Gianni likes shaving your balls how often?
Every day.
Every day. So he's got the Lawnmower 4.0. Make sure you get one for yourself with code BOX for free shipping and 20% off. All right. So it's fade, target, goalies. We each have a fade. We each have a target. We're going to start with fade here. So I'm going to go first. And mine is Seattle Kraken, Philipp Grubauer. His ADP right now is at 67. I think the hype is just way too high on this guy right now. Coming from Colorado, which we all know Colorado's an absolute wagon of a team. I don't even think this guy is going to have the bulk of the playing time in Seattle with Chris Driedger, who led the entire NHL last year in save percentage. He hasn't played in his career over 40 games.
Excuse me, Jeremy.
There's no... It's okay, Drew. There's no way that I don't think that he plays over 40 games. I'd be shocked. And to pick like my number one goalie, like I wouldn't pick Grubauer as my number one for my fantasy hockey team. So I'm going and also injury concerns. He had that injury last year.
What's his ADP?
Yeah, 67.
Jeez.
Yeah.
How many goals are ranked ahead of him?
I would like to tell you the exact number, but I have no goddamn clue. I'm gonna go 7 or something.
Okay.
7 or 8.
Maybe.
Yeah. But
That's
so I'm
pretty
fading.
goddamn high.
I'm fading Grubauer in all spots. If anything, I'm going to take Chris Driedger, his ADP, which is 171 right now.
I really like that pick, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Want me to get into my fade?
Yes.
All right, my fade is a guy I really like as a guy. Great guy, but maybe not a great fantasy hockey goalie. With an ADP of 36, it's Marc-Andre Fleury, now a Chicago Blackhawk. So like this ADP is outrageous. If you think about like in a league where you need wins on a team that's like way overhyped going into this year, he doesn't have that same defense he had in Vegas in front of him. So even his his goals against average and save percentage are due for some regression, right? With a worse defense in Chicago. Chicago is getting way too overhyped. I think this is a prime example of a guy who has a really good season and then the next season goes way too high in fantasy drafts. Like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, Cam Talbot was a 2nd-round pick with the Oilers. Like it's very similar to that. He's drafted in the same round right now as John Tavares, Mark Scheifele, Elias Pettersson, Kirill Kaprizov, Victor Hedman, Jake Gensel. I think that Kevin Lankinen will get more starts than the average backup just because of Fleury's age and because like they probably don't want to run him into the ground, right? I really think that Fleury is getting drafted way too high, guys.
Yeah, the committee type style of goalies has been very popular as of lately, and I don't see Fleury just him coming in and being them just giving him the keys to.
Yeah, do you think he's going to start 65 games?
Yeah.
Maybe more like 50, 55 games?
Yeah.
And for a goalie you're drafting in the 4th round, you want 65, 70 starts because you want to have 40-win potential. That's just not there with Fleury.
I completely agree. All right, let's hear from our goalie expert here, Gianni.
All right, so my fade is Freddie Andersen. His ADP right now is 44.6, which is ludicrous. It's in the 4th round. He's the 7th ranked goalie, basically, based on people who were taken ahead of him. The last couple of years is actually very brutal. He had a negative 8.46 goal save versus average, which is basically saying he let in 8.5 more goals than he should have, which was the 10th worst in the league last year for a guy who barely played anyways. I just think it's a bad move. Carolina, probably a bit better defensively than Toronto. I think that's pretty safe to say, but they definitely got worse with the removal of Dougie Hamilton And also my boy Jake Bean left the team, so it's going to make things even worse for them. They got Rant as the backup too. I don't think it's going to be the same as Lankinen, but Rant is still a guy who's more than competent as a backup. He's going to steal some games. You saw in Toronto, Freddie running so many games a year. He always breaks down towards the end. They're going to want to limit his games as much as they possibly can. Just kind of right where he's being taken, I think is a bit rough. Just even the fact that he's going to be in the Metro. Carolina's not a lock for a playoff team there, as unpopular as that might be. 44th overall, I think is just way too high for him at this point.
Mm-hmm. Rantanen is definitely one of the most competent backups in the league, too. And it will probably be more of a 50-50 split than people want to admit.
It's also just two guys with big injury histories, and there's just potential there for something to go really wrong. You kind of want to take somebody more safe at that point.
This is the thing. I can't believe people take these goalies that are maybe in 50-50 committees in the top 50 picks in their draft.
Yeah, I find that crazy. I have in my notes here that you hate Jake Gardiner.
Yeah, you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so basically Jake Gardiner is a left winger who plays defense. It blows my mind how a team like Carolina, who can run 8 defensemen right now, has Jake Gardiner making $4.5 million. We saw how a Gardiner-Andersen pairing wound up in Toronto with a big Game 7 loss against the Bruins. I don't want to kind of grind into that too much because my heart's still breaking from it, but yeah, just Jake Gardiner being there makes that pick all the worse. I can't imagine any goalie actually having any kind of success behind him.
Yep. Hey, speak your mind there, Gianni. Yeah. Let's go into targets here. I got Carter Hart as my target at 138 ADP. He disappointed a lot of fantasy owners last year. He was taken very high after 2 strong seasons. Look, he had an over 900 save percentage in the 2 previous seasons and an under 3 goals against average. It wasn't a good year at all, and I'm not saying that I can see these numbers improve significantly, but look, they made some upgrades on the D-core. They added Atkinson on the front side. I think Philly's a better team, so I think Carter Hart is bound for a bounce-back season, and I'll be targeting at that ADP of 138. I think that's super low for him.
Yeah.
They also have Martin Jones as their backup now, right?
Yes.
I don't think this guy's really going to steal the crease from anybody at this point.
He's lost his crease in the last 2 places he's been.
Yeah, just from guys who are also terrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Drew, let's hear it.
Great pick there, Jeremy. I've got another very, very similar pick with a very, very similar ADP. So I got Jacob Markstrom of the Calgary Flames with an ADP of 145. These are the goalies you want to target in your fantasy drafts. Carter Hart, Jacob Markstrom. These are guys that are no doubt number 1 goalie on an average to above average team, right? As much as I hate the Calgary Flames as an Oilers fan, they're going to win some games. They're not an awful team, and Jacob Markstrom's going to start 65 games, right? That is 30-plus wins potential that you're getting in the, 12th, 11th round of your fantasy draft. That's a smash draft every single time. He's the clear-cut starter. I don't even know who the backup is in Calgary.
Brody. He's on it. Keep talking, Drew.
I don't even know who they have as the backup. Last year,
I think it's Lauren Brossoit.
Did they sign him this
I
summer?
think it was because he was the backup for Winnipeg. I'm pretty sure he moved to Calgary.
See, he's a decent backup, but he's not a guy they're going to give 30 starts to. Last year, even though Calgary had a horrible year, right, missed the playoffs, real big disappointment, he still had 22 wins in 43 games, right? That's a 30-win pace.
Yeah.
Easily. And if they bounce back as a team, Jacob Markstrom's a guy that I'm going to have all my fantasy hockey teams this year.
That's a good pick.
Let's hear it, Gianni. Who's your target?
On the topic of former, I guess he's still a Vancouver Canucks goalie, but Jacob Markstrom's old backup, Thatcher Demko. Right now, he's being a ADP of 106.2, which is average of the 9th round, 22nd ranked goalie. That's just far too low for a guy playing in the Pacific. If I can use some terminology, the stinkiest division of all the divisions, the NHL this year. They could, Vegas is probably going to run away with that division, but Vancouver could easily finish second. There's not too much real competition there. So you're talking about a guy who's pretty much the bona fide starter at this point, had a really good rookie campaign, backed it up with another year where he took the crease from Braden Holtby.
Yep.
On the topic of what I was saying about Andersen having the really shitty advanced stats. Thatcher Demko's on the opposite side of that. He's the 10th best in goal save versus average. Talking about a team with a terrible defensive core that got a little bit better, kind of bolstered their depth a bit. I just think the amount of games he's going to start, it's probably going to be closer to about 60.
Yep.
And just for a team that could surprise people, if you can get him, in the 6th, 7th round, I think that's more than fair value for a guy who could really, he could even be a top 5 goalie at the end of it.
Holtby is a Dallas Star.
Now
Right.
he is.
And that team was ravaged by COVID last year.
Yeah.
They had a horrible year, mainly just because of COVID.
Yep.
Right? So they're down for a bounce back. Thatcher Demko, undeniable starter there. I love that pick.
He was a great waiver wire piece later on this season when he sort of took over the crease and Vancouver was kind of trying to push for a playoff spot. And I think he went like 6 or 7 straight games where he was just on an absolute tear. But I right when I saw you were going to pick Demko, I really like that pick. He's going to take over that crease. Obviously, he's got talent, and going in the 6th round I'll take him as my number 1 goalie any day of the week.
Yeah, especially if he can repeat what he did in the playoffs in the bubble. He was just insane, carried that team to a game 6 versus Vegas.
Yeah. Great year for Thatcher.
All right, so those are our targets and fades. Make sure you comment below who you will be targeting and who you will be fading. Make sure you subscribe. Please subscribe, and make sure you buy some Manscaped. Code BOX for 20% off and free shipping. See ya.